Okay, welcome back to Shooting It Straight. What does it really take to survive a deadly force encounter? Well, it's not necessarily determined solely by your choice of caliber, your choice of handgun, or even necessarily by your accuracy level. Instead, it's far more dependent upon your everyday mindset and your level of preparedness. And we're going to discuss that today. Now we'll lightly cover some of that mindset, and we'll go over what is known as crisis rehearsals, which is sometimes referred to as mental imaging, and we'll go over Colonel Cooper's awareness spectrum, color-coded awareness spectrum. Okay, so it should be pretty interesting. Maybe some things you don't know. All right, let's talk about proper mindset, the combat mindset. Now, you should already have made your mind up by now and accepted the fact that one day you may actually find yourself in a deadly force situation. It is absolutely critical that you realize and accept that possibility right now, today. Now, along with that, you must have your mind made up that you can and you will pull that trigger when it is time to do so. You must be willing to accept the fact that doing so may actually kill the attacker, although our true intent is only to stop the attack. You know, we don't intend to kill people, but sometimes that does happen, and you have to accept that. Now, look, I can tell you now that taking the life of another human is not an easy thing to do. It's not a natural act for compassionate, civilized people to kill another person. It's just not. But you must be willing to take that chance if you want to survive. Hesitation can cost you your life here. You must not hesitate. Now, whenever I would train a rookie cop, the first question I would ask him once we got into the patrol car was this: could you shoot a 16-year-old girl if you had to? Now, amazingly, many of those rookie cops responded by saying, well, I don't know, or I'm not so sure. Well, a response like that would result in me directing the rookie to get the fuck out of my car and go sit in the police department and think about it. And he wasn't to get back into my car until he was certain that he could pull the trigger in an incident like that, if he had to. Now, as I just said, hesitation will get you killed. And in that scenario, the rookie's hesitation could get me killed. And I've got some sort of a weird aversion to getting killed. Now, my point here is that it is critical that you realize that you could become a target of violence at any moment, anywhere, on any day. Now, to believe otherwise is pure foolish. Okay, it is just foolishness. This is the first crucial step in having the ability to defend yourself. You must be absolutely certain, without a doubt, that you are going to pull that trigger without hesitation if the time comes to do so. Now, we all pray that it never comes to that, but you must be willing nevertheless, because the only effective response to an act of violence is counter-violence. That's it. Okay. Now let's talk about Colonel Jeff Cooper's awareness spectrum, color-coded awareness spectrum. now that you've thought about it and you've decided that yes, you can and will pull the trigger if you absolutely have to, no matter what, well, now it's time to discuss your awareness levels. Many decades ago, Colonel Jeff Cooper developed the color-coded awareness spectrum. Now, the colors of that spectrum are white, yellow, orange, and red to represent the levels of awareness from the lowest level to the ultimate level. Now, this was taught in my basic police academy class back in the 80s, and as far as I know, it's still being taught. So let's go over those colors of that awareness spectrum. Alright, condition white. Here you are completely relaxed. You are unaware and you are unprepared. Your only hope of surviving an attack in this condition of awareness is the chance that your attacker is totally incompetent. You know, maybe he forgot to load his gun, or maybe he dropped his knife or something of that nature. Now, you're normally in condition white while you're sleeping, right? Should someone approach you with a weapon while you're in condition white, you will hesitate, and you'll hesitate out of pure shock and surprise and disbelief that such a thing is happening to you. It'll be the, oh my God, is this really happening to me? This can't be happening to me. That sort of hesitation and shock is what gets you killed. So condition white is only for when you're sleeping, no other time. Now we bump up to condition yellow. Now here, you're still in a relaxed state, but you are aware of your surroundings and you are generally observant. Okay, you are aware that, hey, today could be the day, and because of that, you will not hesitate if violence should strike. You have a plan. You are prepared. You're not paranoid. You're aware. You're keeping your eyes open. You're watching. Okay, you can maintain condition yellow indefinitely during your waking hours. Okay. All right, now let's bump up to condition orange. Here, your level of awareness is heightened to a more specific alert, not a non-specific alert as in condition yellow. But here, you are focused in on a particular person or a particular vehicle, a certain area, or something of that nature that you deem as being highly suspicious or possibly dangerous. Now, you may not be certain what the specific threat is yet, but you are prepared to use deadly force if necessary. Now, condition orange is mentally taxing. You can't maintain that condition forever. You'll only be able to maintain it for a certain amount of time, or until the alert is resolved in one way or another, or you have deemed it to be a non-threat after all. Alright, now we bump up to condition red. This is your fighting condition. Okay, you've identified the alert as a credible threat, and you have decided to take action and to engage in deadly force if necessary. So the critical second step in surviving a deadly force incident is staying in condition yellow, being alert, being aware, being prepared. You know, when out in public, don't make yourself a target for attackers by staring down at your phone like everybody else does. Keep your head up, keep your eyes straight ahead, and maintain a good posture. Street thugs stay away from people like that. They scan and they pick their targets. And their targets are the people that are not paying attention. The people that are absorbed in their phone. They're looking down. They got their head down. They're looking down, playing with their phone or doing something. They're not alert. And that's the people they pick. Don't be one of those people. All right, now we know to stay in condition yellow, right? And we've also accepted the fact, and we realize that any day violence could strike. Okay, we could be put into a deadly force situation. We've got that, and we're staying in condition yellow, right? We're staying alert and observant. Okay, and we've already made up our minds that yes, we will take another human life if we absolutely have to. We don't want to. We want to avoid that, but you may not have a choice, and you've got to you've got to have that resolved already within you, that you're going to do that if you want to survive. So now let's get into crisis rehearsals, which is basically mental rehearsals for a potential crisis. Now, I've spent many quiet midnights in my police car doing exactly this, mentally preparing myself over and over for any number of possible violent encounters. It's like playing a game of what if. Okay, what if this happens? How do I respond if that happens? What if a guy comes at me with a knife? How do I respond to that? It's mentally rehearsing scenarios like that. Crisis rehearsal can be described as an intense form of mental visualization. It's designed to help bring about or create a positive action or the result of success when that same task is performed physically. Now, some people may refer to it as mental imaging. For our purposes here, we will look at it from a self-defense reaction or a crisis reaction, because in self-defense it is a crisis. Mental rehearsal is nothing new. It's been around for a long time. Many well-known sports figures have gone on record to describe their use of it, such as Olympian medalist Michael Phelps, UFC champion Conor McGregor. The benefits of mental rehearsal is backed up by science. Now, without getting too deep into the minutia here, basically our brain cannot differentiate between us performing a physical task versus a mental task. It is also said that about 80% of our training comes from the visualization of the exercise itself, with about 20% coming from the actual physical aspect of it. Now, of course, all of this requires repetition of that exercise in order to build an automatic response. For my crisis rehearsals, when I was a cop, I might park across the street from a closed business. Okay, I would look at that structure and visualize myself responding to a burglary of it. How would I safely approach it? How would I contain it until backup arrived? How would I respond if a suspect suddenly emerged from within? I would visualize these scenarios, figure my training into my desired responses, and once I imagined what my appropriate response would be, I would go back there to that same building on frequent occasions and play the same scenario over and over again. I did visualizations or crisis rehearsals to different events, different scenarios, different locations, and so forth. I found it to be an invaluable tool. I encourage you to do the same thing regarding your possible reactions in self-defense scenarios. Now, I know they can't all be the same, and it won't always work out the same way you imagined or envisioned it. But you should still do it nonetheless. When you do this, you should try to select a location and time that will be void of interruptions, if at all possible. Now, imagine yourself in a store or at a mall or something of that nature. Imagine that you suddenly find yourself about to be attacked or robbed. How do you want to react in such a situation? Now, in your mind, visualize yourself reacting to that event so that it is in your favor. You must be detailed in this visualized reaction. See yourself properly and swiftly drawing while moving and firing effective shots. Don't stop there, however. Continue to mentally rehearse your actions immediately following that imagined event. What are you going to do after the shots are fired? Well, what's going to happen then? How are the cops going to react? Do you make a phone call to 911? These two are important details. Crisis rehearsals gives you a plan of action that is tucked away somewhere in the cortex of your cerebrum. Your brain will automatically draw upon that in a real-life crisis. Now, the important part of all of this is that you always see yourself winning in these rehearsals or visualizations. Always. I cannot overstate this point. Look, if you imagine winning, you will win. Okay? If you imagine success, you will achieve success. Seeing yourself winning is optimism. It is not merely having happy thoughts. Okay, happy thoughts are transitory feelings. Optimism is having a positive outlook. It means taking control of your life by trying to create positive outcomes. It is, I control these events, I control how I will react. This is what keeps you from, this is one of the things that keep you from having a panic reaction, which is something you don't want to do. You do not want to panic. This helps you do that. This helps you prevent panicking because you have a plan. You've mentally formulated a plan that is tucked away in your brain, and it will be drawn upon in a crisis situation. Now, I used to tell my subordinate officers that the greatest tool they carried with them on patrol each night was not their gun, but their mind. Do these crisis rehearsals because the body can't go where the mind hasn't been. Fellas, thanks for watching. I hope I was able to pass along some useful information to you. I'm Antonius, and I'm just shooting it straight. Ciao.